Alright, people. This is it. Finally, my copy has arrived. This is the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and today we're going to start with the first of the two games. Normally I already set the voices to Japanese, but just making sure that everything is, yeah, okay, there we go. Everything is, as it should. So yeah, well, let's start with the first game then. The Great Ace Attorney Adventures. Why does it still say select adventure? Can you... Yeah, no, okay, never mind. Well, I guess this is it. Let's start a new game, shall we? Ah, crap, the subtitle is not quite high enough on the screen. Hold on.
活気に満ち溢れる帝都の民は変化、革新の熱気にむせ返り、その変化に戸惑う者も飲み込んで、時代
Hold
は
on, just me turn off the overlay briefly.
あった。そして今。 そんな時代を舞台に一つの物語が幕を開く。
Yeah, I did not spoil myself, so I did not know that during those cinematics, the Bienvenue au Lac Carnaval. Okay, yeah, that's totally incorrect, but I guess they attempted French. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I knew that those text boxes would fit with my overlay, but not during cinematics, I guess. That part doesn't. November 22nd. You're here. You're ready. Hey, Monica. Good evening. How's it going today? 8:43 a.m. Supreme Court of Judicature. Defendants Antechamber 5. Tired because I didn't get to sleep much. I think it was about 5 a.m. when I fell asleep, and then at like 8:30 my mom came to wake me up and hey, have you forgotten that you're supposed to take me to the supermarket? So yeah, I had to get up and I had to leave, and I had a pretty busy day so far. Anyway, you'll be playing along with me? Okay. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe this is happening. How can it be that just beyond the doors to this quiet little chamber is the highest court in Japan, waiting to decide my fate? Ah, you're hungry, waiting for food to arrive. What you having? Bailiff. What? Oh, no, nothing. Save your glares, murderer. Sorry. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I am a second-year student at the Imperial Yumei University. 3 days ago, I somehow found myself in the middle of a horrifying incident. And now, here I am, awaiting my trial. That's enough! What, enough monologuing? He's not obliged to listen to such abuse, officer. And who are you? I'm this man's lawyer. I'll be defending him today. Lawyer? Yes, and until the judge has given his verdict on the case, no one has the right to treat him as a criminal. So you will hold your tongue. Technicalities. Look at you, you haven't even graduated yet. And yet I still seem to know better than you how a court officer should behave. Right, Ryunosuke? Oh, yes, of course, sorry. What are you apologizing to me for? Oh, no, I suppose that wasn't my fault. But really, Kazuma, I never meant to drag you into this. I'm sorry. There you go again, apologizing. Just like always. Ah, though I must say, you've been all over the newspapers these past few days. Yume University professor murdered in cold blood by student. But obviously, you didn't actually do it, did you? Of course not! You have to believe me, I didn't do it! I could never murder someone. Then there's nothing to worry about. Straighten yourself up, hold your head high. You mean... I believe you. I know you're innocent, Ryunosuke. Kazuma Asogi, my best friend, also in his second year at Yume University. But he's far more clever than I, a star student in fact. He's even a qualified lawyer, impressive considering he's still an undergraduate. It's not that impressive, the very concept of lawyers is only a few years old, here in Japan anyway. My qualifications don't mean much, yet. He said exactly the same thing 3 days ago, but I'm proud to have a friend like you, Kazuma. Truly. 3 days ago, yes, that's when all this started. Congratulations, Kazuma. It looks like you're going to get to study abroad at last. I know, I've been forever dreaming of this day. Finally, those government elites have acknowledged my academic achievements and successes in court. So you'll be representing Japan as you immerse yourself in the most sophisticated legal system in the world. I'm really happy for you, and proud as your friend. There's not a soul in the university who doesn't know Kazuma's name. He's a living legend. It's like there's some mysterious aura billowing around this temple. I want to bring about change in our own legal system. That's why I have to cross the ocean to see the real thing with my own eyes. The heart of the British Empire. I wish I could see it too. Then come with me. We'd have a wild time tearing up the streets of Her Majesty's City of London together. If only it were that simple. Oh dear, look at the time. I'd better get going. Alright, I'll see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place a while longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow then, partner. It was straight after that. That's when it happened. Asogi, may I have a word? Professor, I didn't know you were coming. Well, this case has personal significance to me. But never mind that for now. Asogi, you should go immediately to the judge's chambers. To His Excellency's chambers? Why? He was looking for you before. You advocating for the defense in this trial was a sudden decision. It seems there may be some confusion about procedures today as a result. Who is this man? I feel as though I've seen him at university before. He's the dean of the faculty, for all you know. I see. I'll go at once then. I shall accompany you. Alright then, Ryunosuke. I'll see you in the courtroom. Yes, thanks, Kazuma. This is awkward. If I may. Yes, sorry. You must be the defendant. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I believe. Yes, that's right. My name is Eugene Mikotoba. I'm a professor of forensic medicine at Yume University. Ah, okay, that's what he is. Kazuma is an amazing friend. Yep, he seems to be. Professor Mikotoba. I've heard that name from Kazuma before. As I recall, has been pushing to get the government to agree to Kazuma studying abroad. Asogi has told me about you. You and he are best friends, I understand. As such, I feel you should know. Know what? Well, as you have no doubt heard, Asogi has been granted permission to go and study in Great Britain. However, if he should fail to defend you in today's trial, I'm afraid that permission will be revoked. And never granted again. What? Same sound effects as always, by the way. Ah, as I suspected, you were unaware of this. I had a feeling Asogi may have chosen not to tell you. He's agreed to defend me, knowing that if he fails his dreams will be shattered. But I don't understand, why would the government do such a thing? The administration has to choose from a large number of applicants for overseas study. It's very difficult to persuade them to grant permission, even in the most favorable of circumstances. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. But I didn't do it, I swear it. I'm not a murderer. I'm sure that's true. Nevertheless, I can assure you that proving your innocence will be no easy task. You see, there are certain peculiarities about today's trial. Sorry? What do you mean? You'll soon understand once proceedings get underway. But then what should I do? Well, naturally I'm not going to suggest doing anything that could lead to a conviction. Right, so... As soon as the trial starts, the judge will pose a certain question to the defense. When that happens, you must answer before anyone else. You must say, I do. I do? But what will the question be? Surely not. Do you accept the accusations brought before you? Of course not. Defendant! Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. It would seem our surreptitious discussions are to be cut short. So allow me to summarize. Kazuma Asogi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. I'm gonna be asked if I want to defend myself or if I want to be legally represented or something. Of course, as a defendant, the final decision is yours. What are you waiting for? Do you want to be found guilty for failing to appear? Get moving! There's no point in anyone advocating for the likes of you anyway. This is it. If this trial goes badly, Kazuma's dreams of studying abroad are over. And what's more, I'll be found guilty of murder. And so, with absolutely no idea of what lay ahead, I embarked on that unforgettable trial. My one and only chance of proving my innocence, the trial that would decide my destiny. November 22nd, 9 AM. Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom 2. His eyes. So this is a courtroom. The Supreme Court of Judicature. No court in the land has more power. I don't much like the look of those people sitting in the public gallery. Lots of military and other uniforms in there. The powers that be have demanded that this be a secret trial. A secret trial? A trial that's closed to ordinary members of the public. Only military and government officials may attend. What? But why? It'll become clear in time. But for now, you need to concentrate, Ryunosuke. It's about to begin. He's the ancestor of Mr. Pain. Well, his name here may be different if it's based on the Japanese names of the characters of the Phoenix Wright series. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Aoichi? Maybe it's the same family name as the guy in the Phoenix Wright games. The prosecution is ready, Your Excellency. As is the defense. Before we begin, there is one point of order I would like to confirm. Yesterday evening, the defense made the last-minute request for a change of advocate. That's correct, Your Excellency. I made the request myself. Normal procedure is for the defendant's advocacy to be decided 2 days prior to trial. As this is an unusual circumstance, I am obliged to ask for final confirmation now. The pun names, how I'd missed those. But I guess they may be a little bit harder to get on Japanese named characters. Who advocates for the defendant in this trial? I do. This is it. This must be the question. Who's going to defend me? That's the question the professor meant. But then, if I say I do, I need to answer quickly. What should I do? Well, we've been told to do that, so, Your Excellency, no confirmation is needed. As I'm standing here beside the defendant, I hope it's clear who will advocate for his defense. Hi! If he just says yes like that in English, I guess it must sound weird. Objection! Hi, Panda. How's it going today? What is the meaning of this unruly outburst? I would like to inform the court that I, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, will be defending myself. You'll be... what? What are you playing at, Ryunosuke? Feeling good? Bit tired myself, but in good spirits otherwise, at the very least. Professor Mikotoba told me everything just now before the trial. He did what? He said that your dreams of studying abroad would be dashed if you were to lose. How sad. It means you don't have faith in me. You think I won't be able to get you off. No, it's not that really. It's just that, well, on the off chance that things don't go well for me, I couldn't bear to be the reason that you... Yes, I knew that's how you'd feel, which is exactly why I decided not to tell you. Professor Mikotoba shouldn't have stuck his nose in. Very well, the court hereby recognizes the defendant's desire to advocate for himself in today's trial. Well, well. Does the accused admit defeat already? Renouncing his own counsel? Really? Idiari! Make no mistake, counsel. This merely shows that the defendant's innocence is so apparent he's confident he can speak for himself. Isn't that so, Naruhodo-san? Oh, yes, exactly! Exactly what I wasn't thinking. I'm not confident at all. In fact, my mind is a complete blank. I realize you're in charge now, but still, try not to look so bewildered. Well, for a mere university student to be brought before the Supreme Court, you must have perpetrated the most heinous crime indeed. As you are no doubt aware, this is the Supreme Court of Judicature of Japan. Yeah, with us being in Japan and all that, I kinda got a hint. Yeah. Accordingly, the very highest standards of conduct are expected of all present. Do I make myself clear, Defendant Naruhodo? Hi, Your Excellency! It is therefore my duty to assess your competence for the task you have undertaken. My competence? What does that mean? He's questioning your ability to do the job. Well, he can't be questioning it more than I am. So let's start with the very simplest of questions. Oh, hi! Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case. Well, that's easy enough. I've heard his name more times than I'd care to remember. But... wait. I'm so nervous. I can't even remember that. What was it again? Ryunosuke. Let me guess. Your mind's gotten blank? Can't you press one of the triggers and bring up the case file or something? No, that's the options. You know me so well. All the relevant information for this case can be found in the court record. Yeah, that's what I meant. Oops. Kazuma has an endless wind blowing on his headband like a true main character, which is not the main character. Okay, if you press the R button, if you ever find you've forgotten something, just consult that. It's all in there. I just have to press R for the court record. Alright, this is turn time to lose. This is the list of evidence you've collected. Now try switching to people instead with R. You'll find details about the victim in here. When you're done, just press B to go back. John H. Wilson, the victim of this case. He was a visiting professor of medicine at Yumei University for the British Empire. So remember, everything to do with the current case can be found in the court record. Now, you'd better not keep His Excellency waiting any longer. Go on. Find the victim in the People section of the court record and press X to present. Try it now. The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. Well, at least you can remember the name of an esteemed member of your own university. Dr. Wilson was a visiting professor from England, invited to Yumei University 3 years ago. Indeed, which is the reason why this case has such profound implications. Like diplomatic implications, perhaps. The British Empire is at present our country's most valuable foreign ally. And as most of you will be aware, we have just signed a new treaty together after lengthy negotiations. There can't be anyone who hasn't heard of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. And yet, despite these delicate circumstances, the blood of an Englishman has been spilt on our soil. You two are both undergraduates at the Imperial Yumei University, are you not? Murdering a professor from the very institution that provides your education. Have you no honor? But I didn't do it. This case is coming under great scrutiny from our allies on the other side of the world. The court therefore wishes for a speedy resolution to this matter. In other words, our feeble government is scared of upsetting England's policymakers. And you're a convenient and expendable scapegoat to blame for this crime, so that's why this trial has these unusual peculiarities, is it? Exactly. Our government needs to convict someone as quickly as possible. All because the victim was an Englishman. Yes, Dr. Wilson was an Englishman. But nationalities and treaties won't make any difference for me here. The fact is, I was there at the scene of the crime. Oh dear, look at the time. I'd better get going. Alright, I'll see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place a little longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow then, partner. British Empire. Wow, it's incredible to think. Wait. I've seen that man in university. I'm sure he's a visiting professor from Great Britain. I don't know his name, but still. I should go and say hello. Love the look of each character. They look unique enough. So far, they all look good, so I went over to the professor's table. And introduced myself to Dr. Wilson. Now then, let me pose my next question to you, Defendant Naruhodo. Hi, Your Excellency! How did this professor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson, lose his life? State before the court the cause of death. The cause of death? Well, obviously that was, pardon me. Death occurred a little after 2 p.m. and was caused by loss of blood from a gunshot to the chest. Gunshot to the chest, okay. The bullet did not pass through the victim's body. Ionosuke. Remember that in court, every assertion must be backed up by evidence. By evidence? But how? Find the piece of evidence that shows the professor's cause of death and select present. Do it now, yeah. Take that! Hi! Well... According to this document, the victim suffered a hemorrhagic death due to gunshot trauma. Learn to read, you imbecile. That's the post-mortem report, I take it. Sorry. Hi, that's right. The, post-mortem report. In the West, a doctor dissects corpses to identify the cause of death in an autopsy. But here in Japan, a police officer merely inspects the body and draws conclusions that way. Oh, I see. As long as I'm not going to be tested on any of this later. This is a so-called photographic print of the scene of the crime. You can clearly discern scorch marks around the bullet hole produced by the powder explosion. In other words, we should assume that the victim was shot at close range. Thank you, counsel. The court will accept this modern scientific evidence into the record. The photographic print of the victim has been entered into the court record. So that's a photographic print. Well, that's something I've never seen before. It's clearly superior to a drawing. The detail is incredible. Very well, I am satisfied with your answers. Let us start the trial. The 3D character models look really nice, unlike another Ace Attorney game. I wouldn't know, because this is the first one that I played that has 3D character models, so... Let us start the trial. It's a 3DS game originally. I don't know if the models were exactly like this on 3DS, but they could have been. Maybe just the texture detail may be a bit better here, I would expect. Certainly, Your Excellency. So, without further ado, in order to better apprise... Apprise? Or is it appraise? I don't know. Apprise the court with the facts of the case. The prosecution hereby calls its first witness, who was there at the scene of the crime when it happened. This is it then. I think I may have worked out what the professor had in mind. The professor? You mean Dr. Mikotoba? Yes, clearly you're the defense lawyer today, not me, but that doesn't mean... Well, I can still act as your assistant. Of course. When he was speaking with me before, he simply said, Kazuma Asogi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. He really has been sticking his oar in, hasn't he? Maybe, but any help you can give me would be greatly appreciated, Kazuma. Well, my first piece of advice is rein in that crazy look of bewilderment and control the cold sweats. Dual Destinies, you can clearly see it's the first time with 3D models for the characters. It could also be because you go from 2D to 3D, but I don't know. Could be, yeah. Honestly, I haven't really looked into it back in the day because I knew we weren't getting a physical release at the time, so I just didn't look into it and tried to stay away from it as much as possible because I still planned on playing it someday. And if it comes to Switch, I probably more than likely will. First piece of advice is rein in that crazy look of bewilderment and control the cold sweats. Okay, only if you rein in that crazy headband and control the cold stares first. Yeah, it's a bit crazy. How is it floating like that? There's no wind. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court, please. Of course. My name is Satoru Hosonaga. I am the head waiter at the Western-style restaurant called La Carnaval, which is not how you would say it in French. I mean, they tried, but they got it wrong. Wait a minute. Why is he coughing up blood? Are you alright? You seem to be coughing up some, It's a regular occurrence. It really doesn't bother me. Well, it really should. As everyone knows, the capital's southeastern quarter was developed for foreign visitors some years ago. It's become a very fashionable district now, full of hotels to accommodate overseas guests. This grim crime occurred in one of the district's so-called restaurants, an Occidental eatery, 3 days ago. Understood. Hosonaga-san, You will kindly tell the court everything you can about the incident. At once, sir. And no petty interjections from the aspiring lawyer boy, please. Oh, perspiring maybe, but aspiring? It was just after 2 p.m. on the day in question. We have few diners at that time of day. The lunchtime rush was over, and there were only 3 tables still occupied. That fits in with my memory of it too. There was hardly anyone else in the place. It was when I was in the kitchen, putting away crockery and cutlery. A gunshot rang out, so I hurried out to the dining area to see what had happened. I found the victim, an English gentleman, slumped in his chair. And standing immediately beside him, gun in hand, was the accused university student. Hold on, let me just clarify something there. While I did pick up a gun that I found lying on the floor beside the professor, I didn't shoot him. I mean, it's old Japan, they just opened up for outsiders to come. Their French may not be the best. Yeah, I suppose. Well, yeah, I guess he's Japanese, not French, so, I believe I asked you to refrain from petty interjections. The court wishes to listen to the witness's report of what he saw, you amateur. But the next time you interrupt at an inappropriate time, you will be penalized, Defendant Naruhodo. Don't worry, Ryunosuke. You'll have your chance to fight back. For now, we must just quietly listen to the witness. If I may confirm one point, waiter. Standing beside the victim with a gun in his hand was the same man we see here in court today? Yes, without question. I see. And apart from the accused, was there anyone else standing beside the victim? No, there was no one else around that table but the deceased Englishman and the university student. Now, I was hoping maybe to find a clue in the picture that there may have been someone else, but okay, maybe this is too early for this. Huh? Wait, what did he just say? There was no one else around that table? What's the matter, Ryunosuke? That's just not right. When I went over to Dr. Wilson to say hello... Aha! There was a woman sitting opposite him at this table. Really? And that's not something the waiter could have missed. I've been warned about interjecting, but still, what should I do? Am I allowed to do it now? Isn't there a cross-examination? I mean, it may be different, considering it's not taking place in the same time period. Just a moment, please. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone that day. I'm sure of it. There was a lady sitting with him at that same table. Dear me, what are we going to do with you? With your blatant disregard for court proceedings, I'm beginning to wonder if you're not a fraud. Could it be that the accused, this mere student, is not a real lawyer after all? But I'm sure of what I saw. Osunaga-san, is there any chance you're mistaken? Perhaps your memory of events is hazy. No, the deceased gentleman came to dine alone. I don't believe it! I actually have a rough plan of the restaurant as it was that day. Please, have a look if you'd like to. Let me see. A sketch of the establishment's layout drawn by yourself, I presume? That's right. I'm afraid I used the back of my business card. It was a turbulent situation. However, as you can see, the gentleman in question was seated alone. Well, you're clearly a very conscientious waiter. Thank you, sir. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Oh, well, is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once. Of course, here you are. What was that about? He's been completely calm and collected until now. Something certainly seems to have shaken him. The waiter's business card has been entered into the court record. Can I? No, I can't flip it over to see what's written on the back. Yes, at the moment the gunshot was heard in the restaurant, the only person in close proximity to the victim was the defendant on trial today. It would seem we are looking at a black and white case here. Defendant Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. If you admit your guilt at this stage, the court is willing to look mercifully upon you. In other words, you may have some small reprieve in terms of your inevitable punishment. I called this waiter as an unsworn witness in order to explain the details of the case to the court. But I must warn the defense, if you are determined to pursue matters further in this trial, the prosecution has decisive evidence from sworn witnesses who were present at the scene of the crime. What do you think I should do, Kazuma? It will come... What do you mean? Well, I'm going to be found guilty one way or another, it seems. Wouldn't it be sensible to plead guilty at this stage and hope for a more lenient sentence? Everyone keeps telling me that this trial is unusual about these peculiarities. You've said it, Professor Mikotoba said it, and so has the judge and the prosecution. I'm scared of what lies ahead after I push this. As I said from the outset, I believe you're innocent. I trust you. Oh, pardon me. And yet, despite knowing that, you're willing now to throw that trust back in my face, is that it? What? If the accused is in fact innocent, then a defense lawyer is duty-bound to prove that innocence by whatever means necessary. Are you just going to abandon that duty? Are you going to give up on yourself? The battle hasn't even begun yet, Ryunosuke. The defense pleads not guilty, Your Excellency. We invite the prosecution to stop making empty threats and bring out its witnesses. Then we'll see just how decisive this evidence really is. Indeed. Prosecutor Auchi, please continue with proceedings. Very well, you were warned. The young can be so reckless. You know, many call me a saint, but I can be a devil when I want to be. In a few short moments from now, that dumbstruck young mouth of yours will be silenced forever. The prosecution calls its next witnesses. Very well. Officer, bring forth the witness at once. The witness is... Witnesses, kindly state your names and occupations for the court. Yes, sir. The Great Nippon Imperial Army Sergeant, Yesanosa. Reporting for duty, sir. I'm trying to figure out if maybe there's a pun in English on his name, but I can't tell. Yesa, Nosa. Myself, I find employ as a purveyor of fine articles of antiquity from the efflorescence of our nation. Yes, sir, no, sir, yeah. Yeah, true, yeah, that makes sense. Can't believe I didn't get it. I find myself, I find employ as a purveyor of fine articles of antiquity from the efflorescence of our nation, Nippon, and conduct my trade from Lasute, a humble premises in the 2nd district. Curio Korekuta at your service. Korekuta? It's Curio. I mean, I get it. I get he sells antiquities and his first name is Curio. Collector. Yeah, collector. Okay, Curio Collector. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Collector. An antique dealer and a soldier. What an unusual pairing. Both of these gentlemen were present at the restaurant on the day in question. They must be the diners at the other table that the waiter mentioned. Myself, I habitually take tea of the most exquisite aroma at the establishment in question, always post-noon, and not infrequently converse with interested parties regarding the curios with which I make my business. I can't understand a word that old man is saying. He's an antique dealer, and it sounds like he's regular at La Carnival. He seeks out potential customers who may have an interest in antiques and tries to sell his wares to them. He obviously targets La Carnival because it's a high-class restaurant with rich clientele. Right, I see. Although, to be honest, that sergeant looks more like he'd be a seller rather than a buyer. Now, you both witnessed the precise moment of this most atrocious incident. Is that correct? Affirmative. The enemy unit was seen attacking the foreigner in what can only be described as an act of war, sir. It was that black uniformed rogue infantryman over there who unloaded his firearms, sir. This man's as impossible to understand as the other. But I'm almost sure I heard a strange noise during that last thing he said. Well, yeah, me too. So this is the decisive evidence the prosecution was threatening. The soldier is claiming that he actually saw the precise moment you shot the victim dead. Yes. Well, are you starting to feel uncomfortable? If I'm honest, I was feeling uncomfortable from the start. Now the court will hear your formal testimony. Please. You will state everything you saw at the precise moment that the incident occurred. Sir, yes, sir. Standing by, ready to report, sir. What's that? It sounds like a baby crying or something. Whenever he does that, it sounds like... Unsavory memories of a most acerbic afternoon. What the witnesses saw. I was ingesting a regulation beef steak at the restaurant while having a tactical discussion with the old man. Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman. Small details, yeah. It's hard to take him seriously with that. That keeps going off. At that precise moment, a firearm was discharged. I observed the enemy's actions with my own eyes. The black uniformed varsity cadets fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. That sounds like a lie already. Single bullet fired at close range. Fatal hemorrhage from pectoral ballistic trauma. No exit wound. Bullet did not pass through the body. And it's pectoral, so it was not in the back, it was in the front. Cause of death. And you can see it on the picture as well. If the autopsy report says that it did not come out at the back, then it can't have been shot from the back. I can't present stuff yet, I guess. Nah, not yet. Okay. I was on my hands and knees investigating the whereabouts of my mysteriously absconded precious curio. Well, so you, Sergeant Nosa, actually witnessed the vital moment? You saw the split second when the defendant fired the weapon at the victim? Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. That wicked university cadet, sir. The cruel and unforgivable enemy. What times we live in when an English gentleman may be assailed in the broad light of day? But this is ridiculous. I didn't shoot anyone. Is that really true, Ryunosuke? Yes, all I did was pick up the gun that I saw lying on the floor. After I'd said hello to Dr. Wilson, I went back to my table and sat drinking some coffee. Then, when I'd finished, I got up from my seat to leave the restaurant, when I noticed an English-made gun next to the chair where the professor was sitting. I thought perhaps the professor had dropped it, so I bent down, and just as I was picking it up, well, if that's the truth, there was obviously a criminal on the scene somewhere. And somewhere in these two witnesses' testimonies, there's a clue as to who that criminal was. There is? Ryunosuke, you must exercise your right to cross-examine the witnesses. Cross-examine? Do it now. As we have heard, Your Excellency, there is no room for doubt in the testimony of these witnesses. The defendant is clearly guilty. It is time to bring this despicable... Ah, crap. Okay, I will not leave autoplay on. It is time to bring this despicable student to justice. Okay. Certainly, the testimony the court has just heard eliminates any vestige of doubt. I have looked up all the name puns for characters of this trial. What in the name of the Emperor is the meaning of this outburst? I mean, the defense demands its right to a cross-examination. Dear me, let me guess. The Hachimaki headband boy next door told me to do it. How pathetic. What is it, ouchie? Is it because he's in pain? Like, ouchie? Maybe. I wonder. But then, would his name in Japanese be different? In the original version? I wonder. Hold on a minute. I wonder if even the Japanese sounding names, if they're different, maybe. In the original version. Taketsuchi Hauchi. Uh-huh. They don't say here, I guess. Does seem like that's his name. Like his descendants, Aochi comes from Ouch. Taketsuchi is quite visually similar to Bushi, meaning samurai. Ah, okay. Like Bushido, the way of the samurai. Huh? How did he know? Prosecution objects. This is a clear waste of time. The defendant obviously has no experience. How can he possibly carry out a cross-examination? Idiot! The defense is asserting its right to a cross-examination. Whether or not you think he's capable of it is irrelevant. Kazuma is so commanding. Very well. Let the defense conduct a cross-examination of the witnesses. Alright, this is where the battle really begins, Ryunosuke. But I don't even know what I have to do in a cross-examination. Isn't it obvious? You have to expose the lies in the witnesses' statements. How? You didn't fire the gun, which means that what that soldier said has to be a lie. Well, yes, but It's just a case of proving it, and the key to doing that is evidence. Right, evidence. All you need to do is present some decisive and indisputable evidence that proves the witness is lying. Now let's go, Ryunosuke. Don't let them beat you. So feeble by comparison, like... He hasn't quite mastered the art of bench banging, I guess. Alright then, it's all or nothing. Cross-examination. What the witnesses saw. He's learning. I was ingesting a regulation beef steak at the restaurant while having a tactical discussion with the old man. Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman. At that precise moment, the firearm was discharged. I observed the enemy's action with my own eyes. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. Tell me more about this, actually. So this black uniformed university cadet, you're saying that was... Arr! I've had just about enough of your sauce, cadet. Who else do you see around here in black uniform, hmm? Well, there's someone standing right next to me who fits the description as well, but... It was you, you little weasel! You unloaded the firearm on that man. Slowly but surely, he will become great at slamming his hand on the desk. His hand on the desk. And what's with that sound effect every time? I want to know where that's coming from. From behind his back, and you call yourself a citizen of the great empire of Nippon? You disgust me. What is it, Ryunosuke? I'm not quite sure. It's something that the sergeant just said, but I can't put my finger on it. Something's playing on my mind. In that case, check back over the details of the evidence you've gathered in the court record. Yeah, I know, you have to present it here. And if you find an inconsistency there with what the witness just said, then don't hold back. Don't hold back. Prime Presser awarded. Ah, okay. An accomplishment? Yeah, whatever. Present the evidence to the court. Thrust it in the witness's face and make him choke on it. Well, it's either this or this. Let's go with this. Hi! He raises his arm like he is in class or something in school. What are you playing at, cadet? What is the meaning of this subordination, thrusting this wad of papers in my mustache? Inconsistency, sir. Well, he is still a student, yeah. I mean, yes, there's a clear inconsistency here. What nonsense. What can this document possibly tell us that we don't already know? Well, obviously, that, I know what I want to say, but the words just won't come out of my mouth. I think this proves beyond any doubt, Your Excellency, that there is no place for an amateur student here in this grand courtroom. Oh, well, I shall be off then. Arr, this is so frustrating. Oh, please. Surely this doesn't require an explanation. It couldn't be more plain. To spell it out would be an insult to the court. Kazuma, what? What are you talking about? It's apparent from a single glance at the post-mortem report presented by the defense that there's a clear discrepancy here with the sergeant's statement. What? Sergeant Iesanosa. Yes, sir. What, sir? The statement you just made was this. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. I witnessed the crime with my own military-grade eyes, sir. But no, that just can't be. And why not, cadet? Because... As is clearly stated in the post-mortem report, fatal hemorrhage from pectoral ballistic trauma. No exit wound. Bullet did not pass through the body. The photographic print of the victim clearly shows the same thing. Yeah, actually, you could have shown either of those pieces of evidence, probably. The victim, Dr. Wilson, died from a bullet wound to the chest. Sergeant, according to your witness statement, the culprit shot the victim from behind. And that is the obvious discrepancy here. Well, how do you explain it? Okay, there's a baby on his back. That's why. Yeah, and that explains why he's got that thing across his chest. That's the thing for carrying a baby in his back. Yeah, okay, I get it now. Makes a lot more sense. What was that? Something just popped up from behind his back, but he pushed it down again. Certainly there is a clear discrepancy with the facts here. Would you not agree, Sergeant Nosa? Yes, sir. At this juncture, that would appear to be indisputable. Until the moment I heard the firearm discharge, my eyes were firmly fixed on the delicious Slack Carnival steak, sir. Told you, details. What? The last testimony the court heard has proven one thing beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness, Sergeant Iesanosa. So have you guessed a pretty obvious reference from the dead guy's name? What was the dead guy's name? Again? No, hold on. Not this. People? John H. Wilson? No. No. Don't think. John H. Wilson? Or is it Watson? No. Professor of Medicine? Maybe that's Watson? I don't know. But I didn't know if it was H, the middle name of Watson, despite the fact that I rewatched Sherlock not too long ago. Hey Scarab, how's it going? Good evening. Okay, the witness did not see the defendant firing a gun at all. That's absurd. I think the conclusion we must draw is simple. It's changed in this for copyright reasons. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but he is a professor of medicine. John H. Yeah, it makes sense. There is no place for an amateur prosecutor here in this grand courtroom. Yeah! Inconsistency seer awarded. There's been a complete turnabout in the mood of this trial just from that one discrepancy. In the fan translation, it's John H. Watson. So this is what being an ace attorney is all about. Yeah, ace attorney. But I definitely saw him. That university cadet there, he was pointing the firearm directly at the victim's back. But I never fired the gun. All I did was pick it up off the floor. And you, old man, you didn't see the moment the victim was shot either? Myself, I have already been quite clear. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor. Too busy on the floor? Sorry, what were you doing? Hunting for treasure. Treasure. Indeed! The Hoi-era Koban, my prized coin! On each occasion when I visit that restaurant, it is my habitude to place in my bosom pocket a particular trinket of interest from my shop at Asute. Lasite? I'm not sure if there's a reference there. I don't pick up on it if there is. In the hope of meeting a rich diner who might like to buy it from you. On the day under scrutiny, it was to the military man that I proffered my Hoei treasure. Believed that he would purchase such a rare find, I did not, but I was presented with little alternative. And then, after averting my eyes for the briefest of moments, it was there no more, it simply vanished. The Koban vanished? Hunting around under the table I was, in case mayhap it had fallen there, and then it happened. You heard the gunshot, you mean? Indeed I did, but I heeded it not, for I was concerned only with finding my absconded Hoei treasure. Nothing could distract me. Extreme close-up. Whoa! Out of interest, did you find the coin in the end? No. I see. That lamentable day, the precious Hoei Koban was lost to me. No doubt, some unscrupulous scoundrel pocketed the prize coin for itself. As I am sure everyone present is aware, this case demands a swift and decisive resolution. Our government has promised to send a full report to Great Britain by telegraph this very afternoon. Nevertheless, the witness testimony the court has just heard was inconclusive, no matter how subservient our government feels it must be to the British. It would be unforgivable to deliver a verdict on this trial right now. What is your position, Prosecutor Auchi? Worry not, Your Excellency. The defendant may have fled a tiger at the front gate, but he will find a wolf at the back. My witnesses have further testimony to make. Explain. Upon hearing their next statements, it will become abundantly clear that there is only one person who could possibly have committed this despicable crime. The equally despicable defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. What? He really seems to have a despicable opinion of you, doesn't he? Very well, the court invites the witnesses to testify again. You will thoroughly explain the reasoning behind the prosecution's allegation. Is that clear? As clear as Kiriko Glass, Your Excellency. Yes, sir. At once, sir. Awaiting signal to testify, sir. Excuse me, but there's something or someone peeking out over your shoulder, I think. Affirmative! The newest member of the Nosa family to rise up through the ranks, sir. Name Aido. Aido? Aido Nosa? Aido Nosa. I don't know. It would seem those straps are a sign of the surgeon being too strapped to afford a nanny. Aido. Teen Shun! Your father is about to quell the enemy. Cute. Watch and learn, my boy. The true culprit. Even if what I saw wasn't the precise moment the firearm was discharged, it's almost the same thing. I don't know, sir. Yes, pointing his gun at the foreign man, he was. That young lad in black, that much I myself did see, but didn't you just say the opposite? Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only personnel present. I don't know, sir. Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, that was not super obvious to me. Hold on. Indeed, alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself. Why are they lying about this? Therefore, no one other than the black uniformed cadet could have dispatched the Englishman. Over and out. Okay, the discrepancy is not immediately apparent to me. Wait, that's nonsense. The victim, Dr. Wilson, wasn't alone at all. Please, enough of these outbursts already. But there was a woman! There was a young woman at this table! You must have seen her! Everyone there must have seen her! If you call yourself a lawyer, then you will respect the rules of the court and speak accordingly. We are not here to listen to your fantasies. It is evident beyond all reasonable doubt that the victim was alone at the time of the incident. The prosecution has photographic evidence of this fact. Okay. Is this a photographic print of the scene of the crime council? Is there anything in there? If there's anything of value, I don't see it right now. As can plainly be seen, there is only one place set. Certainly based on the appearance of this print, it would be reasonable to conclude that the victim was not in the company of anyone else. This doesn't make any sense. The court will add this new photographic evidence to the record. The photographic print of the crime scene has been entered into the court record. I don't understand what's going on here. It's just not possible that nobody else saw that woman. The waiter before said the same thing. He maintains that Dr. Wilson came to the restaurant alone as well. But that's not true! I saw her! I swear that I saw a woman with him. It would seem that we'll be able to telegraph the report to Great Britain on time after all. The witness testimonies we have just heard leave no further room for doubt. These are very sensitive political times, as we all know. The ink is still fresh on the treaty with Great Britain. To think that I, Taketsuchi Auchi, will have contributed to the amity of these two great empires is an honor. How can this be happening? The judge is ready to rule. Stand tall, Yunosuke. It's not over yet. What? If what you say is true, then there's something going on here behind the scenes. And now is your chance to expose it, to draw out the truth in your cross-examination. I don't know, Kazuma. The defense is entitled to cross-examine the witness, but make it quick, understood? Rules can be so unbending at times. The true culprit. Even if what I saw wasn't the precise moment the firearm was discharged, it's almost the same thing. I like that now they tell you where you are in the conversation with these little dots at the top right of the little text box. Yes, pointing his gun at the foreign man, he was that young man, that young lad in black. That much I myself did see. Are you sure? Can you even see much with those eyes of yours? Can I go to the profiles? Where were they sitting, by the way? This could be important. More information, please. No, it's not the same thing at all. For a start, I didn't fire that gun. We have a difference of opinion on that. The opinion of a uniformed officer versus that of a fledgling cadet. I don't think so. Consider this, defendant. Just a moment ago I blinked. Did you? Did you see it? Did you see me blink? How could I? And yet, it is an undeniable fact that I did blink. So there you have it. Have what? Tension? The sound of the firearm rang in my ears, and the very next moment, I saw you waving the gun at the Englishman. I think that says it all, don't you? And let us not forget that the antique dealer witnessed the accused in this most incriminating position as well. Isn't that so, Collecta-san? Yeah, with eyes such as yours, how is your eyesight anyway? Yes, it may be true that I was holding the gun at that point in time, but I've told you already that's only because I picked it up off the floor. Well, obviously, as the culprit, that's the only way you could explain it away. I had just finished drinking my coffee and I was about to leave the restaurant when I noticed a gun on the floor at Dr. Wilson's feet, so I picked it up. And at exactly that moment, a gunshot rang in my ears. Full of events beyond our control, life is. Sorry, what do you mean? In your case, you found a pistol on the floor and picked it up, which precipitated this testing predicament. Whereas conversely, I failed to pick up the Koban from the floor and find myself in an equally testing predicament as a result. Anyway, the fact remains, myself, I did see you, with pistol in hand, standing over the foreigner. I can't have a look at the character profiles. I keep pressing R, but nothing happens. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only personnel present. Yeah, there were so many. Someone would have been able to see it from the kitchen from the looks of it, no? Or are those doors? Is there a difference between the two pictures, by the way? Nah, it doesn't look like it. The bullet was fired at close range. Hold on, go back. Dining all by himself. Okay, for now I don't know. Press here, I guess. You must have noticed someone else at Dr. Wilson's table. There was a lady there. As you have been at pains to point out time and again, I feel I'm growing a callus in my ears. And yet, no one else appears to have caught even a glimpse of this woman. If only there had been more people dining there at the time, then someone else would have noticed her. Unfortunately, it was already past 2 p.m. when it happened. The quiet time between lunch and dinner in any restaurant. I know, of course the place was almost empty. It's what you'd expect. Certainly 2 p.m. is neither here nor there in terms of a time to eat. I wonder if there was a reason why the victim was eating at that time of day, and why he was alone. Yes, Your Excellency, there was indeed a reason. There was. This was found in the victim's jacket pocket. What is that, Counsel? It is a medical report card, Your Excellency. It would seem that the victim had an appointment at the clinic prior to visiting the restaurant. Hotta Clinic? Hotta? Yes, there would indeed appear to be an entry for the date in question. 19th November, noon to past 1 p.m. And that's the date of death. Yeah. Okay, there's no discrepancy here. The very day of the incident. So the victim went for a late lunch following his appointment. The explanation couldn't be more simple. The prosecution felt no need to submit this evidence before, as it really has no bearing on the case. I wonder, what do you think, Ryunosuke? Well, it is hard to see how it could be related, really. Remember, you can request for it to be entered into the court record as evidence if you think it could be useful. Should I ask for Dr. Wilson's medical report card to be submitted as evidence or not? If I may, I'd like to ask for that medical report card to be submitted as evidence, Your Excellency. On what grounds? Do I need grounds? The court has already heard conclusive witness testimony. Additional evidence would be extraneous. Not to mention that the victim's movements prior to his arrival at the restaurant are of no concern. Whether or not they are of concern is up to us to decide. We have a right to explore all possible avenues. Hotta Clinic is probably a reference to Hoti Clinic, like the Dr. Hoti's descendants. Ah, yeah. Yeah, true. It was Hoti Clinic indeed, yeah. Come to think of it. Could be indeed. I beg your pardon? You have no authority to refuse a perfectly valid request for the submission of evidence. Very well, the court will grant the defense's request. Youngsters these days are forever asserting their rights. It's a most disturbing trend. Officer, kindly add the victim's medical report card to the court record. What we need right now is new clues. We have to explore things from every possible angle, even if they don't seem relevant at first. Right, I hear you. You can conspire to prolong this trial as much as you like, but it's the day after the festival already for you. Or perhaps you'd forgotten that these witness testimonies leave no room for doubt. Feel free to reiterate for the accused, Korekita-san. Indeed, alone he was the Englishman, dining all by himself. What does the card say, anyway? Therefore, no one other than the black uniformed cadet could have dispatched the Englishman. Over and out. What he says, he saw a black uniformed cadet, and that's about it, so... He seems to insist on it. Why aren't you telling the truth? What did you say, cadet? I clearly remember. There was a woman sitting across the table from the professor. Perhaps one of you might not have noticed. But for both of you to have failed to see the professor's dining companion, it's just not possible. Unfortunately for you, Defendant Naruhodo, it's not just a case of these two witnesses alone. The waiter, whose testimony the court heard earlier, clearly stated the same thing. He also said that the victim was alone. That's right. Precisely. In other words, you are the sole proponent of this phantom lady. But If such a woman were indeed present at the scene, the prosecution demands to see proof. Che, what do I have? Well, she would have been sitting across from the doctor, I guess. And if no such proof exists, the prosecution demands that no further mention of this phantom woman be made. It is a blatant waste of the court's time. There's nothing I can say to that. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. We've gleaned some new information now. Well, yes, but I don't feel like it changes much. Can't see that it brings any real discrepancies to light. I wouldn't be so sure. Let me see that medical report card you got before. Oh, you mean this? Yes, this is a brand new piece of evidence. So perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail. Ah, well, there we go. Until he said that, I could probably not progress any further. How exactly? You'll notice that some pieces of evidence bear a magnifying glass. These are the ones you may examine. Press A and you can take a closer look at the piece in question. Yeah. I couldn't present anything, I guess, until after I got this piece of evidence added, and he tells me how to get a closer look at it. That's why I was a bit confused there. Yeah, okay. To rotate the evidence in all directions and examine it from all angles, yeah, use the control stick. Okay, I get it. Okay, you can move the crosshairs around to hunt for clues that may have been missed before. The crosshairs start to pulsate. Press A to investigate further. So, partner, I think you should take a closer look at this medical report card. See if there isn't something new to be learned by examining it in more detail. Alright, I'll see what I can do. I need to use the control stick, the right one and the left one, and A to inspect any areas of the evidence that look suspicious. Well, there's a banned page. Dentist, Ota Clinic. It looks like this medical report card was first issued quite some time ago. It's probably a record of long-term treatment, that's why. With a family doctor, I imagine. Well, I can't imagine. Going to a doctor, I mean. As long as I'm alive, I'm never consulting one. Well, if you were dead, there'd be no point. So you don't like doctors, then? Why would you? They make you drink horrible-tasting medicine. They give you painful injections. And then they demand lots of money from you for the privilege. All when you're at your lowest ebb. You sound like a model patient. With a bad case of stubbornness, no less, for which the only cure is very bitter medicine indeed. It says Hota Clinic on this medical report card. I hate clinics, almost as much as I hate hospitals and surgeries. Aren't they all the same? When I was 5, I caught the only cold I've ever had in my life, and I remember, even though I felt awful already, I had to have this hideous injection in my right arm. I'll never forget it. Never in my whole life. Most people would give their right arm to have had only one cold in their whole life. Anyway, I don't think this is a clinic where they treat people for illnesses like that. And in Japan, they say that only idiots don't catch cold, apparently, so... That says something about you, Naruhodo, but nothing nice. Healthy curiosity awarded. Yeah, okay. Let's keep looking for clues. We don't want to miss anything. Hmm? Let's have a look. This is some kind of medical history. And there is an entry for the day the professor was killed. Extraction of molar with topical anesthesia. Extraction of molar? You mean he had a tooth taken out? It would seem so. Just before the incident, he had a bad tooth removed. Perhaps they used laughing gas. That's the most modern practice in the West for pain relief. Yes, I've heard of this anesthesia. Although it's hard to believe there's anything that can actually stop you feeling pain. There's a cautionary note from the medical practitioner as well. Strictly no food or drink besides water for 3 hours post-procedure until anesthetic effects have passed. Really? Sounds like information worth bearing in mind. Okay. Victim had undergone dental treatment and been prohibited from eating or drinking anything but water. With this new information, the meaning of that one particular statement totally changes. So I think it's time we listen to the testimony again, don't you? Definitely. Yeah, dining, he says. So that would be here? Oh, by the way, in this one, how does that work with saving the game? Because, I haven't saved anything yet. Okay, it's not like, the Miles Edge Earth Investigations games where you can only do a temporary save in the middle of a chapter. You can save whenever you like. That's cool. Yeah, there. It could not be dining. Not if he just had a tooth removed. Well, I think, about what are you wittering, lad? Call yourself a lawyer? I wish I could, but first and foremost here, I'm the accused. Ryunosuke, everyone stumbles on their words occasionally. Under the circumstances, I wouldn't worry about it. Yep, okay, Monika. Thanks, Kazuma. I could see it quite clearly in that cross-examination you just carried out. When you raised your hand straight up like that, so purposefully, you knew exactly what it was you wanted to say. Don't feel like you have to choose your words carefully. Just say what you're thinking. Alright, and thanks for the advice. Collecta-san, this is the medical report card belonging to the victim. I see, and I don't see. What of it, boy? Comparing what is written on this report card with your witness statement... So feeble. So weak. Something clearly doesn't add up. Dear me, have you forgotten my words so soon, you amateur? Sorry, what? You are not to interrupt court proceedings with your amateurish drivel. But... let's see if I can explain in words you might understand. It was after 2 p.m. in the afternoon when the victim was murdered at the restaurant. Whatever he may or may not have done before that time is completely irrelevant. Grr, but that's... Remember, Ryunosuke, you don't have to use clever language or fancy words. Just make your point. Your Excellency, I believe we're finished here. There is surely no need to prolong this trial further. The witness testimonies the court has heard have been clear and concise. This medical report card has no bearing on the matter at all, for the simple reason that there is no one else besides this pale-faced pupil who... Wait a minute. I didn't press a button to get the rest of the text. Ah yeah, who could possibly have perpetrated the crime? Okay. Do you really believe that? That outburst half petrified me, boy. Of course I believe it. How could it possibly be relevant? Perhaps because Ota Clinic, which issued the report card, is a dental clinic. A dental clinic? Is that supposed to mean something to me? Perhaps if I told you that the victim had just had a tooth extracted. What's this now? And furthermore, if I told you that as a result the victim had been forbidden from eating. Just what are you trying to say, cadet? He had orders not to eat, so what? It's all written up in here. No food or drink other than water for 3 hours post-procedure while anesthesia wears off. What? No, that can't... Correcta-san. What, boy? What? As you just heard, when he was killed sometime shortly after 2 p.m., the victim couldn't have been eating anything at all. Additionally, there's more. You have assured the court with unwavering self-confidence that the victim was dining alone. But that cannot possibly be the case. Grr. Because the victim, as we know, had just had one of his teeth extracted and was still experiencing the effects of the anesthetic. Ah! Expertly done, partner. Idiot! What is this nonsense, you little upstart? These are baseless accusations. Just look at this photographic evidence. Maybe the lady was eating at that table. You can clearly see the plate of food at the victim's table. Use your head. That's the very discrepancy we're talking about. Or can't you follow the logic? Ow, how dare you! I think it's fair to say that the tables in this restaurant case have turned. Yay! Wouldn't you agree, Ryunosuke? Yes, most definitely. So having just undergone some dental surgery, the victim was unable to eat. Which leaves one very crucial conundrum. Who in fact was eating the pictured beefsteak? The court will hear the opinion of the defense on this new puzzle. I assume you're ready, counsel? 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 Oh, that means me, doesn't it? Alright, the answer to this question is going to be pivotal. This is the start of you turning this trial around, so show them what you're made of. Got it. So, the person eating the steak at the victim's table must have been... an as yet unknown third party. Obviously, it can only have been someone else who was sitting at the professor's table. You will not let this go, will you? There was no such person. There was, because I saw her. When the incident occurred, we know that the victim couldn't have been eating anything. Yet we have evidence of half-eaten steak on this table. Therefore, the only logical conclusion is that there was somebody else there eating it. We have strong evidence to support our assertion. It's clear that these witness testimonies are unreliable. If the court decides to push through a ruling at this stage, we will lodge for a formal complaint with the Minister of Justice and pursue a fair retrial relentlessly. Kazuma, are you insane? You would take on the government? Don't worry, Council, I have no issue with you. What do you mean? I have issue with them, those two witnesses in the stand. What are you talking about? We have demonstrated with evidence that the victim was not alone, so if it now turns out that the two of you deliberately lied when giving your testimonies, obviously you will be charged with perjury. Perjury? And since this is a murder trial, you will also be deemed complicit in the killing. Complicit? In murder? Hey, Quillix, Lurker, Quillix. How's it going? No! Negative! There was no mention of this at the tactical meeting. I was just following orders. That's right, as the man says. Just say you never saw the gentlewoman. That's what they told us. Yeah, doing dishes? Ah, okie dokie. Happy dishes then. Oh, what? What did you just say, Correcta-san? No. You were just following orders? Now hold on, lad. I was, Say you never saw the gentlewoman? When you say gentlewoman, do you mean you saw the victim with a lady from overseas? What? Idioty! What is the meaning of all this? These witnesses give false statements? Is this true, you pair? Just one. Just one simple slip of the tongue? Order! Council, explain what is going on here. It's painfully clear now. You tried to prevent these witnesses from telling the truth. Absolutely not. The prosecution knows nothing of this. Then who's behind this? Who tried to make you keep your mouth shut? Well, that's classified. So you're prepared to be tried as a conspirator to this murder, are you? You wouldn't. This can't be happening. Ryunosuke, judging from the way they're reacting to this, I'd say they were sworn to silence by someone with considerable influence. However, I don't believe Hauchi had any idea about it. What are you saying? I mean, to wield that kind of influence, there are only a handful of possibilities. It could only have been the government, the military, or the police, I suppose. Yakuza! Well, any ideas about who might be behind this? If we can affirm who tried to silence these witnesses, then we can continue our pursuit. So we need to name whoever it was that tried to make the witnesses keep their mouths shut. Of course, we'll need evidence before we make any firm accusations. Evidence that proves whoever it was really did wield his or her power here. But how? How can we possibly... Remember how we made progress before? We examined this piece of evidence in more detail and found a new clue as a result. Oh yes, that's right. Well, that's not the only piece of evidence we have, is it? The card of the waiter's card. We need to re-examine everything and make sure there's nothing we've missed. There's no time to lose. I want answers. If it's proven that these witnesses have been manipulated, I assure you the penalty will be severe. Please wait, Your Excellency. I had no idea about any of this. I swear to every Shinto god. I knew nothing. And what does the defense have to say about all this, well, Your Excellency. No time to think. Just going to have to close my eyes and shout out the first name that comes into my head. It's not letting me? Someone with influence? Hmm. Why would he have influence? Or is it him? Hmm. Well, he probably has something to do with it. I don't know this one. Well, surely that would be Satoru Hosonaga-san. Hosonaga-san? The waiter who took the stand earlier? Poppycock! What possible reason would the waiter have to make these witnesses give false testimony? Actually, now, can I go back? Chief Inspector? Well, that's unexpected. Yeah, because actually I pressed it thinking he mentioned an item. I wanted to go back to examine it before I made my choice, but it wouldn't let me, sadly. But I guess it made sense. What is? Look, do you see it says the witness's name here, Satoru Hosonaga? Well, yes, business cards do tend to show the person's name. That's sort of the point. It's not the name that's unexpected, it's its job title. His job? Oh! Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. What was he doing as a waiter then? Inspector? What on earth? I have no idea. But let's face it, the police have a lot of power and influence. If they're wielding it somehow here... Waiter's business card. Yeah, okay. Okay, what possible reason would the waiter have to make those witnesses give false testimony? Not to mention the fact that even a head waiter could not possibly have that level of influence. For once, I would agree with you. If that is, the man truly were a waiter. Why? If he truly were? Come on, Ryunosuke, time to hit this court with the truth. The truth about Satoru Hosonaga's real identity is as proven by this evidence. The plan of the restaurant sketched by the man in question? I agree it shows a great deal of attention to detail, but I'm not sure we can conclude anything. Sorry, Your Excellency, that's the back of the card. It's the back of the card that's of interest. I beg your pardon? Or perhaps I should have said the front? Yes, it's the front of the back of the card. That's where the telling detail is. Would somebody please explain what this overexcited student is trying to say? Sonaga-san has sketched the plan of the restaurant on the reverse side of his business card. The front of that business card reveals the man in question's profession, his true profession. The waiter's profession? But that's surely... Good gracious! That's right, Your Excellency. The card reads, Chief Inspector, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. What? The waiter is a police detective? I haven't heard any mention of this before. Why haven't I heard any mention of this before? The Imperial Police Bureau has immense power, absolute power as far as regular civilians are concerned. So, witnesses there in the stand. Was it in fact the waiter who gave you your orders? Was it he who told you not to mention that you'd seen this foreign gentlewoman at the scene? Well... Where did that come from? Ah, here it comes. Inspector Hosonaga! I was worried something like this may happen. The moment you asked me to submit my sketch as evidence, I realized it was a possibility. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Oh, well... Is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once. Of course. Here you are. Yes, I remember now. He did act strangely when the judge asked him to hand over his business card. I strive to carry out all investigations flawlessly. It's my guiding principle. But I let myself be distracted when I made that sketch. It was an unusually careless mistake. So you mean to say you really are a detective? But why would a detective be working as a restaurant waiter? Of course, your salary must be terrible. I was working undercover. Undercover. Yes, there have been a series of incidents at the restaurant lately. In order to investigate, I decided to get a job there as a waiter, working undercover. Incidents at the restaurant? What kind of incidents? That would be classified police information, which I am not at liberty to divulge. However, I can state categorically that they are unrelated to this case of homicide. Very well then, Inspector Hosonaga, but you will elaborate on one point for the court. Of course, Your Excellency. We have just heard new information from the two witnesses beside you. That at the time of the shooting, there was in fact another person present at the victim's table. If that is indeed true, clearly you would have also been aware of this person's presence, having served at the table in question. However, your testimony did not allude to this other diner. Therefore, I am led to assume that in your professional capacity as a police officer, you required these witnesses to be in agreement? Would that be correct? Correct, Your Excellency. Unbelievable. As I suspected. Bang! As soon as I heard the gunshot, I ran out of the kitchen to see what had happened. The victim sat slumped in his chair, and beside him, gun in hand, stood the accused student. Sitting opposite the victim at the same table was a young lady whom I guessed to be an Englishwoman. So the truth comes out. I immediately sealed off the restaurant and reported the incident to the bureau. It was then that I received some special orders. Special orders? You mean to say, remove the Englishwoman from the scene at once? It was made clear by the Englishwoman's presence at the restaurant made clear that the Englishwoman's presence at the restaurant was to be concealed. Those were my orders. But what if this Englishwoman was the killer? I think it would be in everyone's best interests not to pursue that idea. The Empire views the friendly terms of its relationship with Britain more highly than anything at the moment. An Englishman has been murdered on our soil. To name an Englishwoman as the primary suspect, well, without irrefutable evidence, that would be completely out of the question. So that's the reason for the disappearance of the phantom woman in this case. But it's not right. One possibility does spring to mind. What do you mean, Kazuma? Yumei University is currently hosting a number of exchange students from Great Britain, and I'm fairly certain that one of them studying in the medical faculty's research laboratory is a young Englishwoman. You're a shrewd man. I can see why you're the chosen candidate for the overseas study tour. You mean When I removed the woman from the scene of the crime, I thought it prudent to check her identity first. Then the court demands that you name the lady in question at once, Inspector. The Englishwoman sitting at the university professor's table was a certain Miss Jezai... What? What name? Jezai Brett? What would be the pun here? Jezai Brett? I don't know. She is indeed a foreign student studying in the research laboratory of Yuma University's medical faculty. What is happening here? I admit that under orders from the police bureau, I erased all evidence of the lady's presence at the scene and ordered these witnesses to make no mention of her in their testimonies. It must now be up to Your Excellency to decide how to deal with this situation. Very well, my thoughts on the matter are as follows. Thus far, the case presented to the court has been underpinned by a particularly critical premise. Namely, that the victim was dining alone. However, as we have now discovered that this premise was false, it would be a desecration of our justice system to ignore the truth and give a ruling at this point. Yiddy! But Your Excellency, that would mean missing the noon deadline of a ruling in order to send a telegraphic report to Great Britain. Our own government will surely be very displeased with by such actions. Calm yourself, Counsel. I will not allow the government of our country or any other to influence the proceedings in my courtroom. Inspector Osanaga. Yes, sir? You will locate this Jezai Brett? Nah, I thought I had a pun here with her name, but no. And escort her to the courtroom with the utmost urgency. At once, Your Excellency. But that means you'll be going against the special orders you were given from the police bureau. As I said before, it is my guiding principle to carry out all investigations flawlessly. So it won't be a problem? Jeez, hang in there. Nothing will get in my way. Court will adjourn briefly. The prosecution must call the English student, Jezai Brett, to the witness stand. Do I make myself clear? Yes. Your Excellency! Good. Then we will have a 30-minute recess before reconvening. To be continued. Okay, 11:38 a.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Defendants, Antechamber 5. Excellent work, Yunosuke. That was superb. My heart was in my mouth the entire time. It was almost unbelievable. I mean, looking at you in there. You were drenched in sweat, your eyes popping, your knees knocking, and you were grinding your teeth. It was a grim sight, but before I knew it, it started finding inconsistencies in the testimonies. I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer. Forget it, it's terrifying. If I get through this, I don't ever want to see the inside of a courtroom again. Anyway, it looks like we've exposed your phantom lady at last. Miss Jezai Brett, a student from Great Britain. What was that? He said, is she? Ah, that's what I was trying to tell everyone from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. There was a young woman with him, like I've been saying all along. Yes, you have, haven't you? I might not be overly confident in the courtroom, but my powers of observation are one thing I'm sure of. Yes, I can see that. So, about this young gentlewoman. Thanks to our detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene, it seems. Thank you for the follows. Strawberryos. Hope I'm saying that right. Did you see what happened with that? No, I didn't see any of it. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself. Then on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table, I noticed there was a gun lying on the floor. And just after I bent down and picked it up, I didn't have time to think about where the sound of the gunshot had come from. The waiter ran over to me looking as white as a sheet. And he bundled me into some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. Fast thinking by the detective, he apprehended his suspect without a moment's delay. Yes, and because I was shut in the pantry, I have no idea what happened outside in the dining area. Ah, there you are. Well done, both of you. Professor Mikotoba. Well, it seems I was right. The pair of you make an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say. Yes, it seems you planned this from the start. You arranged things so that I wouldn't be able to cast as a lawyer in this trial. Our modern country is still in its infancy, our justice system even more so. Which is why... I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest young stars overseas to learn all they can. You're dying? What is it, Monica? Dying of what? I wanted to avoid a situation that may have resulted in your study tour to Great Britain being cancelled. What, it makes no difference, lawyer or otherwise, if I'm the kind of man who can't help his best friend avert the worst crisis of his life. I shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to study overseas anyway. What are you saying, Kazuma? So that's your stance. I was afraid you'd feel that way. If I knew it would take them 2 hours to make and deliver food, I would have eaten something 2 hours ago. You still haven't received anything? Kazuma! Well then, it looks like it all comes down to you, young man. Dude, to me? Jeez, yeah, I'd be starving too. If it was me in that situation. Yes, you need to prove your innocence and uncover what really took place in that restaurant. I must say, I very much want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case. Come to think of it, he said the same thing earlier this morning, didn't he? If you don't mind me asking, Professor, did you know the victim? Yes, I did. As you're probably aware, Dr. John H. Wilson was a visiting professor at UMA. And it was I who invited him. Oh, I see. We called them just now. They said it was delayed since they were busy and the food was on the way. Yeah, well. Or maybe it is, maybe it isn't. You can never know, I guess. Just have to trust their word. And hope for the best. I want food! I didn't know that before. Anyway, you're about to go into battle. The victim was a university professor from Great Britain, and a well-known one at that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit as quickly as possible. But let's not forget who we're going up against. The gentlewoman whose involvement our police bureau went to extraordinary lengths to hide. Yes, and I'm sure the prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to quash your case. But I have no doubt that you pair will put up a good fight, right to the last. Best of luck. Thank you. Now then. I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something I think we may need. Of course. Good luck, Kazuma-sama. Oh, Kazuma-sama. Maybe... I don't know. Why not say lady or something else? Maybe it is because they were using a somewhat unusual word in the Japanese version instead. And so to reflect that their speech pattern is unusual by today's standards, they went and chose that word. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. Good luck, Kazuma-sama. Defendant Naruhodo. Court recess is over. Please make your way back inside the courtroom at once. It's time. Let's get back to it, partner. Let's go in there and deal a decisive blow. Before those old fossils know what's hit them. Kazuma? What? Thank you, really. Hold on, did I skip something here? Ah, what for? Okay. What if you hadn't said you believed me then? I'm fairly sure I'd already have been found guilty by now. Look, I have faith in you. As a lawyer and as a friend, coming from you, that means a lot. If I'm found guilty in this trial, he's really going to give up on his dream of studying abroad. That's the kind of true friend he is. So this isn't just my battle anymore. That would make sense since they opened up not long ago. It makes sense that even though they are studying English, there would be some mistakes, yeah, I suppose. Whoever we're up against, we absolutely cannot afford to lose. Alright then, I'll save the thank yous for after the trial. You can treat me to one of those sukiyaki meals like I like from Yume Cafeteria on University Street. With an extra large portion, of course. Yeah, like judicature instead of justice, for example. That's a weird word, isn't it? The court hereby resumes the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Prosecutor Auchi, sorry. Have you managed to subpoena the witness? Yes, Your Excellency, against all odds. By the way, hold on a minute. Hold on, bear with me. Subpoena. Okay. I guess I wasn't pronouncing it exactly like I'm supposed to. Okay. Subpoena. Apparently. Okay. Okay, I get it. Okay. I wanted to be sure. Yes, Your Excellency, against all odds. And thanks to a certain young stripling, the prosecution is now under rather painful scrutiny from the government. Sorry. Let the government scrutinize. That's their job. It's nothing to worry about. It's highly unlikely that the good relations we forged with Great Britain will emerge from this trial unscathed. Will you still think it's nothing to worry about when the new treaty breaks down and our nation founders? Flounders, no? Oh, well, whatever. Again, terribly sorry. If the friendship between our nations is really so fragile, then the treaty isn't worth the paper it's written on. You really have nothing to worry about, Leonosuke. What do you mean? A secret trial, anxiety over some foreign government's opinions, a bungled investigation, missing witnesses. Is this what our nation's justice system is? Is this the Supreme Court of Japan or of England? Shut up! Shut up, you jumped up rookie boy! You and your friend know nothing of the situation our nation finds itself in. By aligning ourselves with this great world power, we'll become strong. Diplomacy has never been more critical. Steady political maneuvering is what will secure our futures. I won't deny that I'm no expert, but I'm just a student, and one who could arguably study harder too. But standing here now in our Supreme Court, there is one thing that I feel very strongly. A country that fails to uphold the truth in its justice system is a country with no future at all. Wow! Naruhodo. Well said, Leonosuke, despite the wide-eyed look of terror. Yeah, well said. Thank you, Council. This court is the pinnacle of our nation's justice system and exists solely for the pursuance of truth. With that in mind, this trial will now resume with the next witness taking the stand. The visiting student from Great Britain, Miss Josiah Brett. Yes. Your Excellency! Oh, my. So elegant. Well, what a delight it is to welcome such a fine gentlewoman to Japan, and from such a distant land. Tea! Someone bring English tea! In England, no discussions take place without tea. Is that true? No idea. So, could we possibly trouble you to state your name and occupation for the court? Of course. My name is Satoru Hosonaga. I have been working undercover as the head waiter at La Carnival. Yes, we know all about you already. Inspector Hosonaga, where are your manners? In England, it's always ladies first. Is that true? No idea. More importantly, a little earlier today you said something to me. You said your powers of observation are the one thing you're sure of. Yes, I think I did, didn't I? Alright, so I would say what the pun name is, but I don't know if that would be spoiling. If you don't know, then maybe keep it for later then. Yet your description for this amazing sight was simply a woman. Sorry, Leonosuke, but powers of observations aside, your powers of description are sorely lacking. Guilty. So, dear lady, once again, if we may trouble you for your name and occupation, please. What? I'm terribly sorry, dear lady, but what? That was a question, apparently. The lady says her name is Josiah Brett. She comes from London, England. She's a visiting research student, currently enrolled in Yumei University's medical faculty. Yeah, okay, yeah, I guess. Because, I guess, she's supposed to be a scientist. She has bad handwriting, like doctors, I guess. So she even speaks in bad writing, I suppose. Oh my, what a rare treat to hear the dulcet tones of the delightful language of the British people. I'm afraid I don't understand a word you said, but it was as beautiful as a hummingbird song. As far as I can tell, the detective is translating our words faithfully enough. Yes, I agree. You'll obviously do fine in England, Kazuma. Her English doesn't rattle you at all, does it? Nor you. You've clearly been paying attention in your English classes, Ryunosuke. The court thanks the beautiful lady for taking the stand. Now, if we may trouble you to confirm something, Miss Brett. 3 days ago at a restaurant called La Carnival, a grim murder took place. The court has been led to believe that you were dining there with the victim, Dr. Wilson, at the time. Is that correct? Finally, food! You're safe, Monica. You will survive. You'll get through this. She says, yes. That was a lot of words just to say yes. Had to run, so don't know if you said anything. Not really, no. This could take some time. So even though she's studying here in Japan, she can't speak any Japanese? No, one thing I said is that I think what she's meant to do is that she's meant to be speaking in bad writing, because like doctors and their bad writing or something. That's what I'm getting from this. She'd like to apologize for disappearing from the scene. She says that she was due to make a presentation at the university, so she had to leave immediately. Interesting. When you're the one who engineered her escape. I was just following special orders from the bureau. Well now, dear lady, would you be so kind as to cast your eyes over this photographic print? Seeing as you were so unfortunately present at the scene of the crime, could it be that your resplendent eyes caught sight of the wicked perpetrator, perhaps? Wicked perpetrator. Beep, 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 beep. Apparently, it was a very frightening and sorrowful sight. Do you mean to say? Yes, it would appear the lady did witness a crime. She's likely speaking very high-class English. Or yeah, maybe. That could be. The very moment when the accused, standing right there in this courtroom, shot the victim in cold blood. It can be hard to understand to some. Order! Order in court! Did you hear that, Your Excellency? Here we have an absolutely conclusive witness statement. Well, it looks like it's clear now. Clear who our real enemy is. Unfortunately, I will have to ask you to formally testify, if you please. Kindly tell the court the exact nature of this frightening and sorrowful sight you described. Frightening and sorrowful sight. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only, a beefsteak. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor, and they got into a fierce argument. Then not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. The professor had a gun? I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit. This is a condemning testimony indeed. Hi! No, I didn't have any kind of argument with the professor at all. Quiet, you filthy wretch. Look at you, you black-hearted blackguard. And look at this snow-white angel. I'm sure even a dark-minded scoundrel like you can imagine whose words the court is going to believe. You're still making the same mistakes, Ryunosuke. You mustn't blurt out when you're goaded like that. That's a lesson you need to learn. But he's so annoying. Of course, I was at the scene as well. I took statements from this lady and the 2 witnesses who testified before and reported back to the bureau. It was decided that Miss Brett was not involved, so I let her go. Why hide the fact that she was there at all in the first place anyway? If she was such a vital witness that had such a vital testimony to give, why even hide her existence? The testimonies of the last 2 witnesses were completely worthless, however. Well, even so, on the day in question, the lady was wearing the same outfit as she is today. As you can see, there is nowhere about her person where she could conceal a firearm. I can only see places where she could be concealing a firearm. I would think she could hide a gun almost anywhere in that outfit if she wanted to. Yeah, my thoughts exactly. Unless and until the precise location where the witness is to have hidden a weapon can be shown, this is moot. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. Those are the witness's own words on the matter. Arr, that's ridiculous. If only I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it. Ooh, don't say that out loud. Don't think about doing anything rash, Ryunosuke. But I didn't fire the gun I picked up. There must have been another gun there that day. You're right about that, which means this lady was hiding a gun somewhere. Yes, that's what we have to prove now. And to do so, we will need to pull our testimony apart. Girls don't need pockets to hide things. You said it, not me. Thank you, Monica. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. You said it so I wouldn't have to. Yes, Your Excellency. Cross-examination. Frightening and sorrowful sight. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beefsteak. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor and they got into a fierce argument. There is even more places for hiding things in that dress than in what I would normally wear. Heck, even the hat, for God's sake, look at that hat. I wouldn't be surprised if that, what is it, a swan? If that swan started, moving or something. Is that a swan or a goose? It is a swan, isn't it? After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor and they got into a fierce argument. Then not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. Yeah, the professor had a gun? Yeah, it is a swan, yeah. I want to hear more about that. Like I said, I did not shoot that gun. And like I said, there's no point repeating that assertion over and over. Well, I wasn't expecting to be attacked by my own side. Nevertheless, defendant, you can't deny that when the shot rang out in the restaurant, you had a gun in your hand. Well, yes, that's true, but... Still weak banging. But all I did was pick up the gun I saw on the floor next to the professor as I was leaving the restaurant. In fact, yes, there was someone much closer to the victim than me at that time, the highly suspicious lady there. That will do, you dirty, rotten scoundrel. Actually, I got interrupted. In the stand. Okay, that's what he was gonna say. Dirty? Your baseless accusations could very well cause an international incident, boy. It seems to me that your accusation is just as baseless as ours. What nonsense. The lady is merely stating what she saw. I love that he looks at his hands when he slams them. Yeah, like, why isn't it making the same sound as it does when he does it? Or something. How does he do that? The lady is merely stating what she saw. And this is already an international incident as far as I'm concerned anyway. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit. That remains to be proven. It's all very well saying that, but can you prove it? Absolutely, I verified it personally. You verified it. Yes, immediately after the incident, I checked to make sure the lady was not carrying a weapon. I distinctly remember her saying, "I'm not." That's all you did? You just asked her? I only heard Rudy reading the text and couldn't imagine what the characters look like, and now I see them and I am not disappointed. Monica, what food did you get? Okay. Surely you carried out a physical search, Inspector? No. That's just a simple answer. Puts up his glasses. No. Why on earth not? The honorable English gentlewoman clearly stated that she did not possess a weapon. There was obviously no need for any further probing into the matter. Or there was no permission given for any further probing into the matter, perhaps. Think what you will, but if you're going to continue with this preposterous claim that the refined lady was concealing a firearm, the prosecution demands that you support your assertion with facts. Ah, pizza. That's for tomorrow at lunch for me. Not today. I had lasagna today. In other words, he wants evidence. The lady wishes to point out that, of course, she wanted to stay and assist with the investigation, but she was in a hurry to give a presentation at the university, so she was compelled to leave. Not to mention the fact that your office had told you to get the woman out of there. Not get her out of there. I just urged her to leave. The lady would like to point out that she in no way meant to run away from the scene of the crime. You'll get it tomorrow night? Which is why she is only too happy to cooperate and testify here in court today, of course. Unlike a certain student who refuses to admit when the game is up. You can at least have the courtesy to pay attention when I'm goading you. Ah, you're going to a restaurant. Okay. She's maintaining that she got into an argument with the professor, at the end of which you shot him. Which is an out-and-out, totally unfounded lie. Still, her statement is very compelling. After all, she's an elegant, refined, young and beautiful gentlewoman from Great Britain. In stark contrast to you, dressed from head to toe in a dull black school uniform. I'm dressed exactly the same way as you are, except for the flapping red ribbons. Well, anyway, this is our only chance to expose her testimony as the fiction that it is. If we can't do that, the trial's over. Even you, with your thick skin, must be able to feel the murderous looks you're getting from around the room. Only too well, I feel half dead already. And the fact that I can't see a single inconsistency in her testimony isn't making me feel any better either. The first thing to do is press her on any of her statements that seem even slightly off to you. Well, I already pressed on 2 of them. Those that seemed the most odd to me. The fact that the doctor had a weapon already is pretty weird in and of itself. Do that and an opening will present itself, I promise you. I need to expose the true face of this exotic foreigner that's hiding behind the mask. That's what I should be aiming for in this cross-examination. The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beef steak. Okay, so she knew that he was going to the dentist then, I suppose. Yeah, when in doubt, press everything. After 2 p.m., in fact. That's really quite a late lunch, isn't it? Idiot! You don't keep up with the latest fashions from Britain, do you? Late luncheons are en vogue, isn't that right? Also, I believe it was pretty common back in the day for the English to have concealed carry. Pret. No. In that font. A decisive English no has quite a sting to it. The gentlewoman is currently working in the victim's research laboratory, it seems. So it was apparently a daily occurrence that they would lunch together. But on the day in question, the victim had another appointment at the clinic first. Yes, which we can prove from the medical report card that was submitted as evidence earlier. That's right, Miss Brett and the victim went to lunch following the victim's treatment, which is why it was so late. Isn't it a bit odd, though, to organize lunch with someone who can't have lunch? That's kind of weird. Yes, that all makes perfect sense. Such a wonderful logic. What a shining example of English intelligence this fine gentlewoman is. So you both arrived at the restaurant. What happened next? The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beefsteak press. If it was organized before, I suppose so, yeah. But then again, she had a presentation at the university, so... Did they have something that important to speak of that they absolutely had to meet that day? I don't know. Still seems a little bit weird to me. He was unable to eat, you say. And that was because he just had a tooth removed from at Hota Clinic, correct? That's right. You're supposed to actually check with the witness before answering. Was Miss Brett aware of that fact? It seems so, yes. She'd heard that the professor was to have some dental treatment. So that would mean that it was you who ate the steak pictured here, but she just said so, so yeah, that's not a deduction, she just said so. That's right, yes, the print you have there shows the table exactly as it was left after the horrifying events. Are you sure about that? If we compare the two, no? Doesn't it seem like there is more of the steak gone on the second one? Yeah, that's kind of hard to tell. That it could be behind the behind the chair, I guess. But wait a minute. Yeah, the glass isn't empty here. And it appears to be empty here. Huh? What? Exactly as it was left? Are you sure? Dear me, what a harrowing experience to have traveled to a distant island on the far side of the world and be embroiled in such a tragic incident. Have no fear, my dear lady, I swear I will crush the evil fiend that has subjected you to this terrible plight. So, the victim, Dr. Wilson, had nothing to eat or drink at all. That's right, other than some carbonated water. Just water. Yes, the professor was unable to eat, but he had been given permission to drink water. And she didn't drink anything, there's only one glass on the table. So it appears that the diners toasted their lunch with a glass of water each. Ah? They each raised a glass of carbonated water. What do you think, Ryunosuke, about the witness's last statement? It's very meaningful. Please add it to your testimony. Aochi has become a simp. That last statement of yours, Miss Brett, has a profound bearing on this case. Well, how fascinating. Do tell us, what is this profound bearing, The significance of the statement will become apparent when the time is right. The defense calls for the witness's last statement to be formally added to the testimony. There we go, that's what I hoped for. Well sidestepped, Consul. Very well, Miss Brett. Kindly repeat what you just said to be added to your official testimony. Gladly, she said. That was brilliant, Kazuma. I'm going to remember that one. Which one? The significance will become apparent when the time is right. I could really use that phrase. I'd hope there are some more useful tips you're picking up from this experience than that, Ryunosuke. I ordered a beefsteak for myself and the professor, and I said cheers over a glass of carbonated water. There's only one glass on the table. His face. That's it. Let me just confirm something, please. It's to do with this photographic print. Just a short while ago, you spoke of this print showing the victim's table at the crime scene. That it was exactly as it was left. That is correct, the lady says. Gonna have to work on that. Well, that is, it's odd. Very odd. Dear me, what's odd is the defense's inability to express itself. Lienosuke, what is it about the print that looks odd to you? Well, obviously, it's the cheers. The cheers? Miss Brett just told us that she and the professor said cheers over a glass of water. But if that's true, there should be 2 glasses on the table, not 1. Ah. You're quite right, Counsel. There is only 1 glass pictured here. Are we supposed to be impressed by this nitpicking over minutiae? Hold on. How do you say that? Something along those lines, I guess. Minutia. Okay. Over minutia. What possible difference does the presence or absence of a glass make on the case? Minutia, you say? Could it be that the detective here removed the glass from the table to conceal the lady's presence? Of course not. I would never do something so reckless. There should have been 2 glasses on the table, or are you going to try to tell me you can clink with only 1? You're quite right. I certainly took 2 glasses to the table. She stole one and put it in her bag? I don't know. At this point, Inspector, what did the lady say? It would seem that it was Miss Brett who took the glass from the table. What? It was all so terrifying, everything that happened. I panicked and thought I should try to hide the fact that I'd been there at all, she's saying. I wasn't too far off mark. Oh. Good gracious. What? Sorry. There, as I assured the court before, this is of no consequence at all. The fact remains that the 2 pictures are not completely the same. There is water in the glass in one, and there is nothing in the second one. It almost seems like she took his glass, not hers. There, as I assured the court before, this is of no consequence at all. Oh, please! We must remember that this student had just murdered this lady's luncheon companion before our very eyes. Who could blame her for considering a glass or 2 in her state of disarray? That's absurd! Oh, really? So do we take it that you are now going to accuse this vulnerable young and beautiful woman of mischief? Sorry, my ass. Hey, you managed to pull it off, Monica. Impressive. What? No. This can't be put down to mischief. I'd like to know exactly how the lady took the glass from the scene. She put it in her bag? Hid it in her hat? Well, she's put it in her bag. I was right on the money, actually. It would seem that she slipped it into a small handbag she was carrying. A handbag, you say? Yes, Your Excellency, a small handheld pouch commonly carried by well-to-do women in England. Think I know the twist of this case? So the beautiful lady has very graciously explained how and why she removed the glass from the scene now. However, the fact remains that this glass has absolutely no bearing on the case. Can we see the glass? I mean, or maybe it's broken because it was shot maybe or something? I have a fancy text generator open, lol. I have it saved for things like this. Also, we used to steal glasses from bars when we liked them. Yeah, but that's lousy. No, don't do that, please. I mean, here in Belgium, each beer has its own glass. You can't drink a beer if it's not in its own glass that goes with it. And these are usually pretty expensive, and when they get stolen, it costs to the people who run the bar. So, no. No, that's not cool. Usually the girls took them and put them into their bags. The student has been trying to confuse the court with logical reasoning, but in the end it comes to nothing. Damn it, I usually just stole IKEA pencils. No more pretentious accusations, you have wasted enough time already. Indeed, the lady has offered a satisfactory explanation as to why she removed this glass. I think henceforth we can consider the matter to have no bearing on the case. Yeah, we had stupid ideas when we got drunk back then. Counsel for the defense, are you in agreement? Well, I don't know really. If you want to pursue this matter further, you're going to need to show that it has some deeper significance. Yes, you're right. So she took the glass away in her handbag. If there's a deeper significance there, it's... actually, I'm not sure here. Well, I don't know. It's the fact that she took the glass in the first place that I suspect had something else tied to it other than wanting to conceal her presence there. I mean, yes, she would, but there may be some other reason. I want to see the glass. I want to see it. If you ask me, it's the fact that she took the glass that has a deeper significance here. Why do you think that? Because it's the property of the restaurant. It's not some harmless act of pilfering like taking a bar of soap home from the public bath, is it? You take soap from the public bath? What? No, I mean... that isn't significant here. It's very significant, but this isn't the time or the place. There are more important things to concentrate on now. I think maybe you should reconsider your position too. Sorry, I will. Indeed, the lady has offered a satisfactory explanation as to why she removed this glass. It's not satisfactory to me. I think henceforth we can consider the matter to have no bearing on the case. Okay, well that was not the right choice then. I mean, I understand not searching her person, but not searching her purse? True. We should at least ask to see the bag, yeah, that's true. Wait, the lady put the glass in her handbag, you say? Yes, do try to keep up. It's already been explained to the court that all English gentlewomen carry handbags for small items. Let me see. A little while ago, Miss Brett stated the following. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. I had actually forgotten that she had said that. So people also take soaps. I guess in Japan, maybe that's a common occurrence. I mean, that's normal in hotels. Yeah, true. But usually, you pay for it in hotels, though. If it's supplied by the hotel, it's put on your bill, so it makes sense that you would leave with it. Like, you won't leave it behind. It's already paid for, so... It's not stealing in that case. I think it's perfectly okay. It's like the meds that you get in a hospital, for example. They make you pay for it, so... if it's already paid for, it's normal that you would want the remainder of the box, maybe, or something. That's why I always bring my own. But the one that they put in your room, even if you don't use it or take it, I guess, don't they bill you for it anyway? I don't know. I'm not sure. But anyway. But what she forgot to mention was her handbag, in which it would be perfectly possible to conceal a gun. You're right. Well done, partner. I had a feeling you'd pick up on that too. What are you insinuating, you vile blackguard? It's really very simple. The gunshot was heard when the defendant picked up the gun from the restaurant floor. As he didn't fire that gun, we can deduce there must have been another firearm at the scene. The true murder weapon, if you will. When I went to the hospital last for pains, I was just given a ton of painkillers for free. Ah, okay. But maybe it's different in Denmark then. Maybe. Inspector Hosonaga. No, it's actually anything they give you in the hospital is they make you pay for it, and they make you pay like double or triple the price of what you would pay for the same meds in the pharmacy, actually, here in Belgium. They don't hesitate. Did you or did you not search Miss Josiah Brett's handbag on the day of the murder? No, sir, I did not. As I thought. In other words, another gun, the one that was actually used to kill the professor, could have been hidden in Miss Brett's handbag. No! Order! 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 What is the meaning of this, Inspector? The meaning of what, Prosecutor Ouchie? Usually you have to pay for it, but since it was an injury that could only be helped with pain meds and rest, they just handed me strong painkillers and sent me home. Or maybe you didn't have to pay for it, but it was like somehow paid by your health insurance, maybe, or something like that. Otherwise, because sometimes that can happen here anyway. They don't bill you for stuff, but someone pays for it, and it's usually your health insurance that does. Even if they just give them to you like that and just let you go home. They have your ID with your social security number on it, and they bill your social security, your health insurance instead of billing you. Why on earth did you not have the lady open her handbag and show you the contents at the time? Thanks to your bungling incompetence, now she has to endure these uncomfortable accusations. Brilliant work, partner. Now we have a chance to expose the real woman behind the mask. Do you think so, Kazuma? Why is he coughing up blood anyway? Well, what a sorry situation. Clearly you have no faith in the police. Well, our taxes go for health insurance, so we don't have to pay for hospital visits. We have to pay for a small portion of it ourselves, but the big majority is paid by health insurance, because we have pretty high taxes here too. I know we were second right behind Denmark at some point. I don't know if that's still the case, but I wouldn't be surprised if that still hasn't changed. As I said, I did not search the lady's handbag after the shooting, simply because it was unnecessary. Unnecessary in what way? I ought to thank the student lawyer, really. I have a piece of evidence here that I had completely forgotten about. This photographic print. This print is of a photograph that I thought would be prudent to take immediately after the shooting. As you can see, it clearly shows Miss Brett's handbag. Well, I never. You can see right through to what's inside. That's right. Apparently meshwork bags like these are the height of fashion in London at the moment. So the contents are clearly visible. That must be super inconvenient. I mean, did you see the size of those holes? You can't put a lipstick or anything of that kind in there. Anything small would slip through. Exactly, so there was no need to search the lady's handbag. If there had been a gun inside, it would have been immediately obvious. Ah! As you can see, there's nothing to imply Miss Brett's guilt here. Can I see this picture? Thank you for helping to prove that, Naruhodo-san. Ah! It's not been added as evidence yet. But it will be, I suppose. Inspector Osanaga, you will submit that print as evidence at once. Certainly, Your Excellency. Let me have a look at that. I think you've had long enough to cross-examine the witness, counsel. Hold on. Ah, there's a tattoo. What's that? Is it a tattoo on the hand of the victim? Of a bull? Same thing that was on the plate, I think. Hold on. Yeah, that thing. Because his arm had been resting on it, maybe. That left a mark. So what, he was the one eating? What's the meaning of this? Also, the guy coughing up blood, I don't know, but it could be caused by overworking, which then causes stomach sores, or disease brought by foreigners. That wouldn't be unlikely. That's my guesses. Ah, okay. Yeah, he seems to have on his wrist the mark of the plate. And also, yeah. So that's the chair that's across from where he is. Yeah. I guess it's outside the frame here. But that chair has been moved too. The chair with the handbag. So it's not exactly as it was. Internet says it could be tuberculosis, but that is also just speculation. Ah, okay. I think you've had long enough to cross-examine the witness, counsel. The court has now been shown considerable evidence. As the photographic print just submitted into the court record appears to have no further significance, I am satisfied that there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Indeed, and there is only one logical conclusion, that the pathetic rookie slumped over the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator of this crime. No, just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around, I'm in a worse situation than I was at the start. Kazuma? I'm sorry, Rinosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there is no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it? I must say, you put up quite a fight for a rookie student, but the weak are meat while the strong eat. Ooh. You are wasting your time. There is no way to defeat true justice. A fact you can chew on to your heart's content from the inside of your cell. This can't be happening. Am I really going to be found guilty of a crime that I didn't commit? And Kazuma, his dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Kazuma, what? Is there really no chance now of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about that last photograph the detective produced that we can contest. Which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. But there's the bull thing. I mean, I don't know what it means, but shouldn't we at least investigate what it means? No? Doesn't that have some kind of significance? Very well, I will now proceed immediately to the ruling. seems we will be able to report to the British government on time after all. That smug little... Ryunosuke Naruhodo, having considered all of the evidence placed before me, I hereby find you... Oh, that's it! He's finally mastered it! Wait, Your Excellency! Ryunosuke? I don't think you can rule on this case yet. Idiot! This amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems that the trial is over, he gives his ruling. That is the most basic protocol of the courtroom. Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now that means that if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail I mean, then ruling on the case at this time would be out of the question. This is blatant straw clutching. Look at this photographic print. All it shows is the handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. There can be no problem with this evidence. You'd better know what you're doing, Ryunosuke. I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag. Ha! My thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes. Yes, I am desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. Very well, I will grant the defense one final opportunity. What? But be warned that if I am unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So, take another look at the photographic print Inspector Hosonaga submitted before. You will identify for the court where in this print we see the significant detail to which you have alluded. Hi! Look at this here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description. If the plate was hot... I mean, I don't know if this was already commonplace back then, but even these days in restaurants, they will heat up the plates. If he put his hand on it, it would have been burned by the plate, I guess. Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come up with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist? Clearly that has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag. Yes, that is a burn mark, you're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report. What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? I may have an idea? And no possible way of knowing either. Oh, but I think we do. The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as Prosecutor Hauchi points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Come on, press for it. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the Dean and other university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway. What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn does have something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging, in the hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am? If we can just link that burn to the case, if we can do that, we might be able to prise this shutting door back open again. Just give up, counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that. Indeed, I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it? You're going down, Chiselbrett. That's the script for a perfect English accent, I guess. I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn, but as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Really? I have to find some link between that burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what that burn really means. So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burn and this trial. If it's not this one, then I don't know what it is. Also, I will be telling the reference to her name at the end. Ah, okay. What's this, counsel? Yet another print? Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at the scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at that time are recorded forevermore. Do hurry up, Rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How? You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. Okay, let's point it out. The beefsteak. Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. It was made of metal to boot. Okay, yeah, so if it was preheated, it would have been pretty hot then, and remained pretty hot. The plate? Your Excellency, are you alright? As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of La Carnival. This emblem on the plate and the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Ryunosuke, you genius. You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant. But he would have been sitting in front of the plate, and why would he if he wasn't eating? If eating from a metal plate, it's freaking hot and stays hot for a while. Have I ever eaten on a metal plate? I don't think so. But they do preheat the regular plates in restaurants, though, to keep things hot as they set stuff on the plate before they serve you. Even if that is the case, we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. It could have been the day before or the day before that. It most likely happened at some other unrelated time. Well, Sadly, Prosecutor Aochi, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly. But... I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago, and although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds. And he wouldn't have felt it? Like, he wouldn't have pulled his arm or something. It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. I've only eaten from a stone plate. I've eaten from a... how do you call that? I guess it's kind of stone. How would you call that in English? I forgot the name. A slate. Yeah. From a plate. No, not burnt clay. A slate. It's the same kind of a stone that they use to put on to put on roofs of houses. Basically, it's a completely flat thing with no rim on it. Sometimes in some, like, how should I say, more luxurious restaurants, usually they will have some eccentric kind of plates like that for certain types of dishes. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter at La Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation. Some restaurant used weird things as plates. Yeah, true. But you're a detective, not a waiter! There you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Osanaga never heard the professor scream. Not on that day or any before it. If he had a tooth removed, I don't know what they used as anesthesia back in the day, maybe, for that sort of thing. Maybe it was numbed still by the anesthesia from when he had his tooth pulled out. Strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel. Laughing gas. They said it before? Okay. He may still have been under the influence of that, I suppose. Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antiques dealer, all of us without any question have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Ouchie? Well, yes, I suppose. So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it. Ryunosuke, do you think... Can it really be true? Or he was already dead? I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but didn't he speak to him? Didn't he speak to... He greeted him, he said, or something like that. No? I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but... laughing gas, another sim from my youth. It was the newest form of anesthesia. Yeah, okay. At the time. I'm starting to think that maybe... we've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think of that to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson... I hesitate between asleep and already deceased, but the way you put it before, I think he was going to say that he was already deceased. He was already deceased. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible. Apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting... Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead. Already dead? Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead. That's madness! Order, please. Counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot. That's right, that's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly he has no grasp of the facts. No, Prosecutor Ouchie, it's you who has no grasp of the facts. I beg your pardon? As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down, or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible! I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget about your luncheon engagement. But, Your Excellency! The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I am prepared to pass judgment. Thank you, Your Excellency. What was that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. Miss Brett, you speak Japanese? I guess, yeah, you have to put it in the context of the original release, yeah. Technically, they're not speaking English, they're speaking Japanese. Well, of course I do. I am studying in your country, after all. But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible. Okay. Racist much? But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level. Oh, well, you are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We are truly honored by this. Oh, stop groveling. This lavish consideration you so graciously afford us. I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. So we're finally going to hear our own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke. The victim's death. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burnt his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in the toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. Poison? In the glass? And she would have taken the glass for that reason! But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. I knew she put the glass in her bag for more than just concealing her presence. That made more sense that way. The most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court's history. Thank you. Easy does it. I hope that is the last time I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Is she a chemist? She's a scientist, for sure. Well, she's studying under the professor, And he is a professor of medicine. But then she would know her poisons, I mean, if she's studying medicine. I hope that is the last time I will have to say... Yeah, okay, we already read that. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. Not at all, not at all. It is a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady, even when you insult us. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I'm gonna knock you down, you bitch. I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. Thanks. Was that a prayer then? Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with the cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. But it's the glass, isn't it? I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? Yes, Your Excellency. Then you may proceed with the cross-examination. The victim's death. Okay, hold on then. And before I make a mistake. Is it that simple? No. Okay. No, it won't be that simple. Okay. Okay, I have to coax it out of her, I guess. Well, let's press at any rate. Without leaving a trace, if someone is shot or strangled or stabbed or thrown from a height, however a person's life is taken, there are always telltale traces on the body. Quite right, dear lady, and as our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Hosonaga? As I've said, I've always aimed for a flawless investigation. Yeah, flawless it's been so far. There would be physical traces with all those causes of death, that's true. Maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark. If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it? Poison in the water! Oh no, perish the thought, calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question. On my honor, I, Taketuchi Hauchi, will cut down any who dare cast such aspersions. A way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need some evidence to back us up here. Yes, evidence. Just let me spit it out for you, it's poison, damn it. Well, although the post-mortem report says that it is the loss of blood from a gunshot that did, kill him, so... The fact that they mentioned the fact that he wasn't, that he had an anesthesia, I think is not insignificant. That probably played a role. Ah, yeah, that's when they said they talked about the laughing gas. Yeah, okay, now I remember actually. That just escaped my mind. But then what would she have put in the water, though? Or I guess, yeah, they would have ruled it to be caused by the bullet wound if they could not detect or did not think of checking for poison. Well, press here at the very least. Inferior? What do you mean by that? In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at the crime scene for later examination, but in this country, you investigate once and that's the end of it, isn't that so? She seems well informed. Quite right, La Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly, which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. Mate! What? What was that? What was that? What was that? It doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand. Haha, a killer blow. The lady is as formidable as she is beautiful. Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Hauchi is finally starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. What do you think, Ryunosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected. She's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clues somewhere to help us find the chink in our armor. Kazuma. What, Ryunosuke? There is one thing I noticed. Something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. About the person standing next to her, Inspector Hosonaga. Thank you. The detective... Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant. If it might present an opening, maybe. Present an opening, sorry. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement one more time, if you think so, but this time instead of targeting the woman herself. Let's see what we can get out of the detective. Ah, yeah, okay, so you had to go through it once to be able to do that at all. I'll find out soon enough, I suppose, once I press Miss Brett on her last statement again. Inferior, what do you mean by that? Okay, we've been through all that. Okay, how do I press him? Yes, there it is again. The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right, look at him. He's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man and his train of thought. Sorry, pursue? I'll explain how to do it now, Ryunosuke. It's all to do with the witness marker. What marker? At the moment, we're focused on Miss Brett, who's the person actually making the current statement. But by moving the marker left and right with the D-pad, you can turn your attention to other people in the stand. While you're looking at the other witnesses, you'll be able to pursue them with A. Okay, this is new to this game, I guess. If you can catch the person at just the right time, you might uncover some new information to pursue. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere amongst the people on the stand, take a good look around. This is the thing I really like about this game. But it keeps the formula fresh at least. It's not always the same gimmick. That's good. Like the Magatama before in a previous game, or the Psyche locks in the third game. Alright then, so first I should move the marker across with the D-pad and focus on the detective, then pursue him with A and see what's on his mind. Here we go! Okay, I'm trying. Shut up! Yeah! What's the meaning of this? I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to shock you. You like the theme? He really was lost in his thoughts, deeply. It looked like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say? If there's something you'd like to say, please share it with the court. Idiot! What is the meaning of this? It's the delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately. Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Come on, you did it right before. Yes, not to mention the fact that he's intimately involved in the case. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes. Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett? Well, yes, if you don't mind. I would like to speak. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain, which is why I, Satoru Hosonaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. A crime scene thief? Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. Is that... This is the bottle of carbonated water that I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago now. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. That guy just wants to survive this trial, it seems, yeah? There's some left in the bottle, I can see it. One day our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming, I guarantee it. Get that guy a doctor, please. Can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The courts will accept a glass of bottle of water as evidence. The carbonated water bottle has been entered into the court record. Okay, well, it is getting a bit late for me, and there seems to be no end to this case. Actually, I think the case is maybe a bit longer in this game from the looks of it. I mean, we seem to be getting a bit closer to the end, but it seems to be still going, so I'll finish this tomorrow night, this first case, and I'll be playing this game in the coming days anyway. I'll be focusing on this one. So, if it really is tuberculosis, I wonder if they knew about it and if they had a vaccine or something. Yes, I suppose. Yeah, maybe it will not spoil anything. Well, what is it exactly? Okay, so I just saved. Now you can go ahead if you want to say what the reference is. Do tell. Josiah Brett at SH. Sherlock Holmes reference. Dr. Watson was struck on the shoulder by a Jezzail bullet. Okay. That's what it means then. Yeah, because pronounced in Japanese it would be Brett or something like that, because there would be the U after the B, I guess, the way they would pronounce it. It would sound more like bullet, I guess, their way of pronouncing it. And but that makes sense. But I did not think about Watson and how we got But it's pretty obvious that she's the culprit now, so it's not that much of a spoiler. I mean, I can see where this is going now, so it's early on. Yeah, it may have been, but you did right in waiting to tell me. Yeah, because otherwise, yeah, that might have been a bit too much of a giveaway. But now it's okay because we pretty much know already. So anyway, I'll be off then. I'll leave you guys for the rest of the evening to enjoy it. Yeah, I didn't want to say it at first, yeah. But you were right, yeah, indeed. That would have been a bit too much of a tip-off. Especially since you've already seen someone play the game before, so you would probably know where this is going, I guess. In the broader details, if not in the finer details anyway. Yeah, good night, colleagues. Have a good one. You guys have a good rest of the night. Sweet dreams and all that. Take care until tomorrow. You guys are welcome. Yep. Have a good rest of the night too, Monica. See you next time. Bye-bye.